Hello everybody, my name is Steven Pizza Cruz and welcome. So we're gonna cook how to cook a lobster tail. So here's our super ingredients with it. We got lobster tail, lemon juice, 3 garlics, paprika, and hand of parsley. But for the garlic, I recommend for fresh garlic of it, so you can have a taste better garlic on your lobster tail. So here we go, we're gonna start cutting up with butter. I recommend for only 2 tablespoons of butter of it. So I'm gonna unwrap this and then use my knife to cut them up. And then I'm gonna use the paprika to use a tablespoon so we can make it with a texture so you can make a lobster tail colorful. So you wanna have a nice wet spots on your lobster tail. So I'm gonna put this in a little cup. There we go. And we're done with that. And we're all gonna move on to lemon. So when I do cut lemons is you have to chop in half and I squeeze as hard as I can. But I really recommend use lemons as soon as possible as you get them from the stores, because sometimes they can be very soft and they kind of get a little bit messy. As you can see, they're like super soft and they are not good strong as you squeeze them. So we're gonna start cutting with some garlic. So I'm using my knife to push down some garlic so we could cut on them. Oh, and make sure that you cut off the bad spots at the ends of the garlic of it, because you don't want them to be on your lobster tail. So once I'm chopping these up to very small pieces, as you can see here, it's gonna be very small. So I chop many times so you can make them smaller, because you don't want big chunks in your lobster tail. So we can make them a little juicy so we have a nice flavor for your lobster tail. It's kind of really messy, so make sure you got them all. Now for the parsley, I will put leaves off of the stems, but you probably want to make sure you get the bad ones off. And before you cut them, you always wash them because it's gonna cook it. So I recommend all fruits and vegetables to be washed so that we don't have no dirt, no bugs, and no foods. And now we're gonna do the lobster tail. So I got this for on the Kroger's for only $7.50 on it. I wouldn't not say if this is only my local. So I really recommend to go on Kroger's and buy a lobster tail. I mean, there could be like 2 or 3 packs of them, but I got a good one for one lobster tail for only $7.50. So here's a lobster tail. So you want to make sure it doesn't froze it, otherwise it's not gonna cook all the way there, and it's gonna be difficult to cut them. So you gotta cut them in the middle of the lobster tail, and you gotta make sure you got these feet off of there as well. So I use my scissors to cut them. So this is a little bit difficult to me because I never cooked a lobster tail before. So this is my first time doing this. So hopefully it will turn out very good. So after we got the legs or the feet off, now we're gonna get those legs moved, and then we're gonna start cutting of the middle. So you gotta make sure the meat are soft so you get able to cut it. So here's my scissors to cut it, the lobster tail. So I recommend to cut it all the way down to the little fourth tail of it. And you want to make it, I always make a butterfly lobster tail because I has a really fancy of it that you keep your lobster tail on it. So you use your knuckles or your fingers to crack it open so you can get the meat out. So you gotta very careful about these stuff because they'll break very easily of it, and sometimes they're gonna be in the meat of it. So here's the meat of the lobster tail. So there you go. So now get a sea pan and use aluminum foil so that way it doesn't sticking on the sea pan. And then I started using the butter. So you gotta be very careful to put this. So you always want to make sure you get all the flavors all over the lobster meat. So you can have a good flavor for this, including the self too. So you gotta rub it in, and then put some garlic in there. I put them a little bit sprinkle of it, just a little bit. So you gotta make sure to get them all of them in there, so you can have a good texture and good flavor for the lobster tail. So you see I'm stuffing in the lobster tail. You gotta make sure you got egg, get them in there, and then now I'm gonna add the paprika in there so you can have more colorful. So you gotta have red spots in your lobster. So here I'm going just using my finger to pinch, sprinkle them around, and make sure you get inside too. Whenever I do my version of lobster tail, I always want to put everywhere in the meat lobster because I am so love lobsters. And you get them in there, and after that, get some lemon juice, and you would be careful you added them, so you can have a good flavor for lemons and butters, paprika, and get some parsley for the final top, and get salt and pepper for the taste of it. I recommend for that. And after we're done, let's put this in the oven. Alright, so I recommend to put in the oven at 350 degrees and then cook it for 8 minutes of it. So we can put this in the lobster tail and then close the oven and watch it while it's cooking in the lobster. So here's the picture before it's done cooking, and then it's gonna show it and after cooking of it. Now it looks like it's about to be done. As you can check, you can see the lobster tail itself is very red. And look at the texture of the lobster tail. It looks so good with it. So you gotta make sure you cook it for 8 minutes, and you always want to check the temperature of 145 degrees of it. And use your butter and your lemon juice and the paprika for the final sauce.